We're not looking for low-grade copper. We're looking for high-grade copper and quality copper, and that's what's harder to find, and that's what's going to solve, or help solve some of the demands for copper. So quality copper discoveries, quality copper assets, and the time it takes them to come online as we enter this world of electrification, it's a metal that should perpetually perform the rest of my careers and my lifetime and everyone else's watching this video. So our timing could be better.
The Financial Survival Network. Now more than ever. The Financial Survival Network.
And welcome. This is Financial Survival Network. I'm your host, Kerry Lutz, and we are here with Ivan Bebik, CEO of Coppernico Metals, which is now trading on the TSX. That's the big board, the Toronto Stock Exchange. Ivan, it's great to have you back. We talked to you recently, and this was kind of a glimmer in your eye. You knew it was coming, but you didn't know how fast it was going to happen or when it was going to happen.
Yeah, no, it's great to be here. And I certainly wouldn't have picked middle of the summer to list the company, but we wanted to get the shares up as soon as possible and prior to the fourth quarter when the market picks up generally for junior resource stocks. This has been a major achievement for us. As everyone knows, it's been nearly a decade. We are in the middle of drilling. We just started. We're on our third hole, and a lot of learning is going on. We're very encouraged by everything that's going on with the drilling. That's what's got us really, really excited. As far as the company's share price, we came out weaker than our last raise, but I think everybody's quite well knowledgeable with the fact that copper was $5 a pound back in May when we did the raise. That was the peak of the year so far. And now seeing copper at $4.11 on its way back up, it's perfect timing for us to get going and get started with the marketing and the engine of all the catalysts that are going to drive this company forward. That will all start in September. Once we cross Labor Day in full effect, we're at Beaver Creek, and then we're off to Europe and several other marketing trips and conferences. And what's leading that charge, Kerry, is just the exploration potential and the opportunity, as well as, we hope to have some of our first results back in late September onward. And that's going to be one of the more catalyst-rich juniors out there in a company that's extremely well financed right now with working capital into 2026.
Which is exactly where you want to be, so you don't have to worry about the market and timing and all that. Yeah, we're in the middle of the summer. It's kind of the summer doldrums, but the market was pretty exciting a couple weeks ago. But hey, with copper moving higher, question is, gold just broke 2,500. When is copper going to break $5?
Hey, great comment. And I'm glad you brought gold into it. And gold is the most emotional metal that generally leads our entire sector. And for what I've seen in my 25 years, when gold runs, all metals tend to catch fire with it. We've all heard about a rate cut coming in September. This is good and bad for the outlook of copper. Obviously, price of metals go up, but people are concerned of a slowdown in the economy. The driving force behind copper, though, is a lot to do with supply as well as it is to do with demand. This electrification has started. It's not going to stop. The planet going towards electric vehicles and a more electric society. So the demand for copper is going to be great. It's kind of somewhat uninterrupted, but it's going to go through waves. I think as far as a natural resource investor, you've got to look at a catalytic event that's going to really underpin the sector, what's going to really turn the sector on. And one of those metrics is certainly price of metals and gold crossing 2,500, with the rate cut in the background here and a couple of wars that are underway. I think we could see a lot more out of gold. But we did see what happened when the price of copper was $5 a pound. It was incredibly robust market. The interest globally for copper assets and even in the equities was quite substantial. And I feel we're heading back there either late this year, more than likely sometime early or mid next year as we go into a deficit on copper supply. There's always risks and variabilities with metal performances, but right now things are turning back in the right direction. And I think it's going to catch us perfectly with our drill results that we have out of our project. So timing is really, really positive for the entire sector. If gold does catch fire and people do make that leap over into the sector, the generalist people that I'm referring to, it's a very small sector. There is not a lot of juniors. There's not a lot of majors, not a lot of mid-tiers to buy. And if you take a fraction of the capital that's investing public today, this is a very small sector with a lot of capital that will come into it. You commented a week or two ago, we saw a good lift. We saw a lift in May. We've seen these waves of where it almost is starting for the past few years. It's kind of like a golf game when you're playing a lousy round of golf and you have a good shot, it keeps you coming back. That's kind of the treatment we've had from the resource sector. Obviously, I love golf and I know that well. But as far as where we sit today, right now, I think we're on the cusp of the start of a pretty significant breakout based on macroeconomic pictures. And I think the copper part is very special because of how long it takes and how hard it is to find a sizable copper asset that could provide global supply. The counter argument to that is there's a lot of low-grade copper in the world. We're not looking for low-grade copper. We're looking for high-grade copper and quality copper. And that's what's harder to find. And that's what's going to solve, or help solve some of the demands for copper. So quality copper discoveries, quality copper assets, and the time it takes them to come online as we enter this world of electrification, it's a metal that should perpetually perform the rest of my careers and my lifetime and everyone else's watching this video. So our timing could be better.
Yeah. And if I could strain the golf analogy a little bit more, of all the players out there, Coppernico has one of the lowest handicaps of any company.
Yeah, it sure does. And we've triple bogeyed on the listing, but we're going to look to hit some birdies here in the coming months as we go into the fall. And I think if you want to quantify that comment, you look at the scale of the opportunity, the experience of the management team, the level of depth on the board, but also the longevity of the treasury. And that's really been the story in the junior sector. If you look at how a lot of these companies have traded or not traded well, the disconnect in share price generally has to do with the need for capital, or that's been, from a fundamental value or a speculative opportunity. But I feel strongly that once rates start coming down, we're going to start to see a tremendous amount more of interest in the sector with more speculative capital coming back into the space in a sector that's really, really suffering from supply issues.
It's understandable that investors are wary of the sector, based on what's happened in the past. But I agree with you. When you look at electrification, there's just no substitute for copper. We don't have enough of it. And what I'm expecting to see within the next 2-3 years is an acceleration of the entire licensing and permitting process across the world. Once the powers that be figure out that, hey, we don't have enough copper, there's an imminent supply shortage coming, and the price of all those battery metals is just going to take off from there.
Well, that's a good point, and thanks for refreshing that point there. The environment to make a copper discovery couldn't be better, and the fact that we're actually drilling, not getting a project ready for drilling, not waiting for permits, I think that's outstanding. The fact that we actually are turning a drill as you and I are speaking here, because timing is critical, and we want to catch the timing perfectly as we start drilling and possibly start finding this copper discovery that we're after. So being ahead of the curve and having spent the heavy lifting in terms of time and capital to get to this point, and to actually have a drill churning as we were so close to a big copper market, I think is outstanding. And that's a big opportunity that we offer our existing shareholders and any new shareholders, besides the discount on price that has come out from the IPO. As far as that, this company was spun out 3 years ago, and obviously there's some needs for capital around the sector. There's obviously some fatigued investors and those that are staying strong, which is the majority. It's glad to have you guys on, and those that are looking at it from the side. We are extremely well funded, drills turning, and very catalyst rich, by the right reason of the best catalyst. And we can't wait to get on the road here once we turn the corner into September. So looking very forward to the coming months here and the first drill holes to come out of the project.
Yeah. Hey, so speaking of the first drill holes, you got an idea of when we might start to see results?
That's a great question. I have an idea, but I don't want to pin myself to time. If it's not a material hole, we're not going to announce it. We will wait till we have our first material holes from the project. So we're going to be patient with the drill bit. We've got 30 holes funded. We have treasury into March of 26. We can obviously adjust that ratio and drill more holes. We're permitted to drill 48 holes. But I would say, in a great case scenario, late September, early October, possibly sooner. But that's realistically the idea that I would say, to look for some updates on drilling by that time frame. And that would time perfectly with us getting on the road and starting to really tell more people about the story.
Yeah, and you pretty much know where you're looking, right? Based on the historic drilling that took place and your own preliminary work there.
Yeah, there's 7 kilometers of targets to test, which is substantial. It's huge. And we are learning and understanding how big the system really is. And we see a lot of evidence of copper, as you're aware, on surface in many different areas, and projecting to potential copper beneath surface. Obviously, grade, width, and economic potential is to be figured out with the drill bit. But we have some incredible targets, and not that we need them, but we're finding additional targets as we learn more with the first drill holes into the system. This is really a drill for knowledge and go for it. On the copper side of things, we are chasing a SCARN first, but we are seeing potential evidence for a porphyry to exist as well. It's kind of the best of all worlds. Now it's just about the drill and waiting for those first holes and seeing how they come together. But we have so much real estate to test here. The 30 holes won't be enough to test the full 7 kilometers. I can say that right now. And I believe strongly that we will drill well past that. But there are some really, really robust targets that we're going after. And the geology looks really encouraging. So we're really excited about how it's going.
Yeah, it almost becomes a problem when you have too many targets and then you got to start picking them, right?
Well, you got to drill them all, in this case here, based on the environment and the scale of the opportunity. That's how we feel. And, I couldn't tell you which is the best target yet. That's going to come from the drill bit and the back of the 30 or 40 holes that we drill in this first phase. I will say the fact that we have that pipeline, we're very, very target rich. That gives so many more opportunities to miss and to hit, right? And I expect both. I don't think all of them are going to be there. I think there's going to be some that are surprises, both positive, and some that are going to be misses. That's how SCARNs work. But right now, the system looks really, really encouraging, and we're really excited to be drilling it.
All right. Well, hey, appreciate the update, Ivan. Hey, great to hear that the stock is finally live and trading. You want to go over to CoppernicoMetals.com. Sign up for notifications so you can get the latest when the drill results start flowing. And I have a feeling they're going to flow fast and furious. Ticker symbol on the TSX is COPR. Ivan, we'll talk to you again soon and get the next update.
Great. Thank you very much. Look forward to it.
The Financial Survival Network.